Hey guys, I apologize for my voice today. It's a little hoarse, but I'm taking you along with me as I prepare an entire Thanksgiving meal from start to finish. Most of my siblings travel during Thanksgiving, and last year we decided to start celebrating early on my mom's birthday, which is November 10th, and Mike and I are hosting this year. And even though all of the siblings helped in many different ways with this gathering, Mike and I really wanted to bless everyone by preparing the food and taking care of the meal. And so I'm going to walk you guys through it, tell you exactly what I did, and share my favorite recipes with you. And maybe if you're hosting for the very first time this year, some of my tips will help you guys. I think the key is just organization and prepping ahead, and then it'll make your Thanksgiving day so much smoother and so much less stressful. So let's get started today. I'm so excited to take you guys along with me. All right, guys, so my first tip for you is to print off all of your recipes, get them all organized, put them in plastic sleeves, and that way you're not looking at a tiny phone screen or you're not on your computer. You have everything right in front of you. I also like to type up a list of everything that I need to prepare, when it needs to be prepared, when it needs to go in the oven, and that really helps me. I did all of my cleaning on Monday, so today, on this particular day, so this is Tuesday, the meal is on Friday. My husband also came home with some baby's breath, and I decided to clip that and put it in water, and that will be used for the tablescape that I put together for our big Thanksgiving meal. All right, friends, so as I start to prepare for this big Thanksgiving dinner, and I'm cooking and baking a lot of these dishes ahead of time, I am quickly running out of room inside of our fridge. There are fillings that I need to prepare, crusts that I need to make that need to cool, and I have so many things in my refrigerator that I'm so thankful for today's video sponsor, the Upsterman Mini Fridge. This fridge is 3.2 cubic feet and it comes with a freezer. And wait until you guys see where we put it. It fit perfectly in our finished basement area. I could not believe it when it arrived. I was so excited. It slid beautifully between our two cabinets down there, and I was just thrilled. So obviously I am going to take the curtain away for this video to kind of give you the full tour of this fridge, but normally I would have a little curtain hiding it so you wouldn't even know that a fridge was there. And as you can see in this area, we have a microwave and toaster and things like that so that our guests can stay downstairs. So if our guests have things that they need to store in the fridge downstairs, they are welcome to do so. They don't need to come upstairs and use ours, which is so nice. Like I said, this is a double door mini fridge. It comes with a very deep freezer. I was so pleased. I had two giant bags of frozen vegetables from Costco, one with green beans, the other with corn. They fit perfectly into this freezer. Those take up so much room in my freezer, especially when I have a giant turkey in there. So I was very excited about that, and there's still room left over. This fridge also comes with an adjustable thermostat, and it's perfect for a dorm room, an office. Again, we are using it in our finished basement space. It has a little area for cans if you have sparkling water or pop that you want to store in this mini fridge. This would be perfect for that purpose, especially as my boys get older. We might have snacks down there and drinks. So I'm very excited about having this mini fridge downstairs. This fridge is energy efficient and quiet. It has a fresh food drawer and removable shelves, and you can move those shelves according to whatever it is that you're storing in this fridge. The Upsterman Mini Fridge is compact, and not only that, it's the #1 bestseller right now on Amazon for mini refrigerators. So that is definitely saying something. It has great reviews, quality assurance. You can depend on this refrigerator, and I'm just so thankful for it during this Thanksgiving meal. Again, there's a low energy cost, which will save you money when using this fridge. It also comes with secure shipping and packaging, which is very important. Today, I'm sharing the link with you guys in the description below for this Upsterman Mini Fridge. Make sure you use my link because that link comes with a special discount just for my audience. So if you're interested in purchasing a mini fridge, now is the time to do so. This is a Black Friday promotion and the sale runs to the 27th. So make sure you head down to the link in my description below so you can take advantage. Thanks again to the Upsterman Mini Fridge. You saved my Thanksgiving meal, and I'm so thankful for the extra storage that this fridge has provided during this holiday season. So Wednesday we finished homeschool, and the first thing I wanted to get started on was the cranberry sauce. This is something that you can make several days in advance, and I actually like to make a cranberry relish. It's so easy and it's delicious. You just blend together some fresh cranberries, some oranges. I doubled the recipe, so I left the skins on one orange and I cut the skins off of the second orange, and then a cup of sugar. And again, I doubled the recipe because I plan on bringing some of this to the Thanksgiving potluck we have at our church. But that's it, just oranges, cranberries, and sugar. And it is so delicious. And you just want to blend it until it's not completely like mush. You want it to have that relish type consistency. But once I got it all blended, I put it in the fridge, and that's one item checked off my list. It is so yummy. You guys have to try this recipe. All right, since I already had my food processor out, I figured I might as well make my gluten-free pie crust. I'm making this crust from scratch. I found a great recipe last year, and you can see here that I've got my butter nice and cold. And it's not completely frozen, but it's very, very cold. I've had it chilling in the freezer, and I'm doubling this recipe as well because I want to make a pie crust for my apple pie and also for my pumpkin pie. Now I am cheating. I'm going to use store-bought pie crusts for all the non-gluten free people. I can't have those pie crusts, so I guess that's a little bit selfish of me, but it is going to save me a lot of time because I have a lot of pies to make. I'll hand make all the fillings, of course, but the crusts for the non-gluten free people, I just grabbed store-bought crusts for those. So I'm just blending this together now. Just like any traditional pie crust, the secret ingredient in this particular crust is the sour cream, and it's a delicious gluten-free crust. I'll have it linked for you guys, but just a really simple recipe. I plan on baking my pies on Thursday, so I'm making this crust today so it can get nice and cold in the refrigerator, and then it'll be easier to work with when I roll it out for my pie crust. So I'm just covering it in plastic wrap and putting it in the fridge, and that's another thing checked off my list. All right, so next up is the gluten-free stuffing. I just bought a loaf of gluten-free bread at the store, and I am going to cut it up into little cubes and put this in the oven to really get the bread to kind of crisp up and dry out a bit, and that way it'll be perfect for stuffing. You could also just leave the bread out for a couple of days, but I feel like this speeds up the process. So I always like to just throw it in the oven for 10 to 15 minutes on 350. And then the next thing I'm gonna do to save me a whole bunch of time on Friday when I make the big meal is I like to chop up all of my onion and celery. And so I'm making a gluten-free stuffing, but I'm also making a regular stuffing. And each recipe calls for just a little bit different measurements and ingredients. So I'm just marking some Ziploc bags with my gluten-free stuffing, onion and celery, and then my regular. And I'm going to chop up these veggies, put them in these bags, and then all I have to do on Friday when I go to make the stuffing is just dump these bags into the pots with butter and prepare my stuffing. And so that'll just save me some time when I have a lot of other things that I'll be preparing that day. All right, so we had church Wednesday, but when we came home that night, I wanted to continue to prepare. So I decided to get my sourdough dinner rolls thrown together. I got this recipe from my friend Lisa over at Farmhouse on Boone. If you don't watch her channel, you guys would love her. But I used this recipe last year and it was delicious, so I decided to use it again this year. This is such an easy recipe. You honestly just throw everything together in your mixer and just use your dough hook and let it go, and the dough comes together. I always find that I need more flour than most recipes call for. But this is really such a simple, easy recipe, and the rolls are absolutely delicious and sweet and so yummy with a Thanksgiving meal. So I'm just getting this going. And while I work on the rolls, my husband is helping me prepare the filling for the apple pies. We have a ton of apples to peel and cut. Each apple pie, so I'm making two, one regular and one gluten-free, and each pie calls for about 5 pounds roughly of apples, or 11 large apples, and I'm using a mixture of apples, which makes for a really delicious pie. I think Granny Smith and Golden Delicious, I want to say, are the two kinds that I grabbed. But yeah, basically after all of the apples are peeled and cut, I have them in two separate pots because one apple pie filling is going to get regular flour, the other is going to get gluten-free flour. And then you add some brown sugar, some cinnamon, some nutmeg, some salt, vanilla too, and let these apples cook for about 20 minutes, and the filling turns into this delicious gooey caramel amazingness. It's just a great apple pie recipe. It is just delicious. And once I get all of the apples all cooked down, you can see it just blows my mind that many apples cooks down to these small little bowls of filling that go in the fridge. But those need to completely cool before I assemble my pies tomorrow. So that's why I wanted to get this done on Wednesday. All right, so here we are on Thursday morning. Around lunchtime, we did homeschool, and then my older sister took all of the boys, so I could just have an afternoon, listening to Christmas music. It was just a quiet house, so I could concentrate and focus on everything that I needed to prepare, which was so sweet of her. I enjoy and love cooking and baking, so this was really a treat for me. But you can see here that I'm just getting my rolls all divided. The dough has risen beautifully, and I need to divide this into 16 separate rolls, and they will go into two buttered casserole dishes, 9x13. And then, of course, you let those rolls rise for another 1 to 2 hours before baking them. The next thing that I'm going to get started on is my crust for my apple pie. So I'm just going to divide this gluten-free crust that I made yesterday in half, and then I'll roll it out for my Dutch apple pie. And I did make one mistake in rolling out this crust. I should have laid down a piece of plastic wrap. It makes it so much easier to lift your pie crust and put it into your pie plate. And I forgot to do that, but you'll see that I remember when I make the pumpkin pie. But either way, it did end up coming off of my countertop with some help from a spatula. But it really is an awesome crust for, if you have gluten-free family members. This is a great recipe. And let me just encourage you, if you do have gluten-free family members, it will just make them feel so special if you go the extra mile and have desserts for them. Even if you don't make them homemade, if you have to go pick them up from a bakery, it's one of the worst feelings when everybody else is eating pie around you and you can't have it. So I would encourage you to, if you know of someone in your family or your friends that is gluten-free, have something for them at your Thanksgiving dinner. I am gluten-free, my mom is gluten-free, and so is my sister. And so I always make sure to have gluten-free desserts whenever we get together. But here you can see I'm just crimping the pie crust. It's really simple to crimp your crust. You just use your 2 fingers and your thumb, and you can make a beautiful crimped pie crust. And it's okay if it's not perfect. I think when it's sort of rustic, it looks homemade, and that's what makes it special. So now I'm just filling my crust with that refrigerated filling that I prepared yesterday, and that just makes it so much easier. I don't have to do both in one day. I can just kind of assemble the pie. This is going to be a Dutch apple pie, so I've already put together the topping, but it's basically just flour and brown sugar and butter, and I've put it in the refrigerator to cool so that you kind of have those big crispy clumps on the top of your pie. That's my favorite. And you're only going to do like a third of the topping on this Dutch apple pie to start, and then you'll bake it for a little bit and then put the remainder of the topping on there. But it's such a delicious pie recipe. So I'm just getting these in the oven. You want to make sure you put them on a baking tray because that delicious caramely filling sometimes runs over and you don't want that dripping into the bottom of your oven. So it's always wise to do that. Once your pies bake for a little bit, you pull them out of the oven and you can see they're already getting quite brown. So you're going to put the rest of the topping on there. And then I have some really neat tools that I've collected over the years. You can see they go around the outside of your pies and they sort of protect the outer crust from getting too brown. But I baked the pies for the remainder of their time with those rings on there. You can also make your own out of foil, but you can see how yummy and delicious these pies look. And I had some extra filling that wouldn't fit in the store-bought crust, so I put it in a little dish for my husband with some of that Dutch apple topping, and he enjoyed that for lunch on this day and was very thankful. So that's what that was. Next up, I'm going to go ahead and put an egg wash on my rolls. You can see they've risen beautifully. So you just add a little bit of water to an egg and whisk it and brush your rolls with it. And I'm going to bake these, and they just always make the house smell so amazing. I'm telling you what, between the pies and the rolls, oh, my house was smelling good on this day. You can see how beautifully the rolls turn out with that egg wash. You don't have to do the egg wash, but it really does make them beautiful when you brush them with that. So another thing that will save you tons and tons of time the day before is to peel and chop your potatoes. My sister came over and helped because we had 10 pounds of potatoes to peel and chop. So she helped a lot. And then my husband, while I was finishing the pies, he helped peel and chop potatoes as well. So I just had a few that I had to chop up here, and you can cover them in water and put them in your fridge, and they are, they're perfect. So that saves a ton of time to do that the day before. I'm also working on the filling for a raspberry cream pie. I always make this pie for Thanksgiving because my grandpa loved this particular pie, and I have a great recipe. But basically, for the first layer of this pie, you're whipping together some cream cheese and powdered sugar, and then you're mixing that with some homemade whipped cream, and that makes up the base layer of the pie. And then you want to make the top layer, which is made from frozen raspberries and some cornstarch, I believe. You're going to let that thicken and allow that to cool completely in the fridge before you add it to the cream cheese layer. So a very easy pie to put together. Again, I just got a store-bought crust for this one. So next I wanted to work on my pumpkin pies. I'm going to make a regular pumpkin pie and then a gluten-free pumpkin pie with that other gluten-free crust that I have still in the fridge. And if you've made pumpkin pie, it's very simple, just some eggs and some sugar and evaporated milk and pureed pumpkin. And I love a good pumpkin pie at Thanksgiving. That to me is just a classic that you have to have. And we always love serving it with homemade whipped cream. So I'm just whipping this filling together really well. And you can see that I am smart this time. I'm rolling my crust onto a piece of plastic wrap. And let me just show you how simple this is. When you have it on the plastic wrap like this, what you can do is just roll it right over your rolling pin, and then you can pick or bring the pie plate over and just flip it over, just so you can see how I'm doing it here, just like that, and then just peel the plastic wrap right off of your crust. And look how simple that is. So that's what I should have done the first time around. Learn from my mistake. It was so much more simple this time around. Again, I'm just crimping the pie crust with my thumb and 2 fingers. Doesn't have to be perfect. It's okay if it's a little bit imperfect and rustic, that's fine. But it just makes for a really pretty pie when you take the time to do that. You can also use your fork and press the crust as well with a fork. But now I'm just gonna pour the pumpkin pie filling into both of these pies and get these in the oven. All right, so another thing that I like to do the day before our big Thanksgiving meal is to get the tablescape all ready. I just grabbed these fabric tablecloths at Walmart. They were like $12 or $13. I'm gonna use those this year because I have 2 mismatched tables. So I'm gonna move the furniture around in my living room to make room for a second table that I'm going to push right up against our dining room table. And then that way everybody can be seated at the same table and we're all together. This probably won't work in years to come because just more and more grandbabies keep entering the picture, which is a wonderful thing. But either the grandkids are going to have to move downstairs to the basement or something, because I don't know how much longer we're going to be able to do it, at least at our house. So I'm just setting up this second table, and thankfully I have that bench in the dining room. I'm going to use that on one side, and then I have some extra chairs downstairs that I'll bring up for the other side. So I'm just covering both of these tables in the white cloth, tablecloths, and I threw these in the dryer with some damp rags to kind of help soften the wrinkles. They aren't perfect. I could have ironed them probably, but I wasn't going to take the time to do that. I think they look good enough. The next thing that I grabbed were these really fun paper placemats on Amazon. They came in this huge pack of 100, so I guess I'll be using these for many more get-togethers, but I thought that they were perfect because I love the warmth of a wood table, and the white tablecloth sort of took away from that. So this kind of brings back some warmth, and it also will help protect the tablecloth a little bit more from spills and messes. But I just love anything with a scalloped edge, and these were so cute that I decided to grab them. Another thing that I'm going to add to my table are these beautiful paper plates that I got from Marshall's. I loved the colors, and I also got some really pretty napkins that are this soft green with some turkeys on them that I thought were really cute as well for Thanksgiving. Now, I don't have enough goblets for everyone. We're gonna serve some sparkling grape juice. It's just really special for everybody to get to have that for Thanksgiving. And so I'm going to send my husband to the thrift store tomorrow to look for more of these little goblets so that everybody can have one, because I only had a set of 6 of them. But the last thing that I did on Thursday night before going to bed was I made some place cards. I'm going to print out some names tomorrow. We did this last year where I typed up everybody's names and made some place cards for everyone, and then we all threw them in a basket or a bowl and we drew names. And then whoever's name you got, you had to write on the back of their place card why you were thankful for them. And it was really special. We all went around the room and read our place cards to whoever, whatever person that we pulled from the basket. So that's really special. I'll finish these tomorrow, but that's everything that I got done on Thursday. All right, guys, it is Friday morning, the day of the big feast. We made some herb butter, and I will have the recipe for you guys. My husband is helping me with this massive 21-pound turkey. He's rubbing about a third of the butter between the skin and the turkey itself, and then the rest of it he'll rub all over the outside of the turkey. And then we are putting it in the oven at 325. So here is how the tablescape is looking so far this morning. I ended up adding silverware to the table. I also added some really cute little corn candles that I grabbed at Marshall's, as well as some baskets that I'll be using for the rolls to put in there. And it's just really come together beautifully. I love the way it looks this year. I'm going to add the flowers later on in the day because I read that baby's breath was actually toxic to cats, and I didn't want my cats jumping up there. They always are so drawn to water and flowers, so I'm just going to wait on those. But here I am just kind of getting my kitchen ready to set up all the food. I will move a lot of things around, get things out of here that don't need to be on the countertops, just to make more room for the dishes. I'm also pulling up all of my crock pots, so I'm going to serve my corn and my green beans in crock pots, and that way I don't have to worry about those. I can turn those on warm and get them going with some butter. I'm also finishing up my place cards, so I'm just gluing all of the names that I printed out this morning to each place card, and those will be really cute on each plate. I'll show you those in a moment. This is what the turkey looks like after about an hour. You can see it's already really brown. So we're gonna rotate the turkey and then cover it with foil just so that it doesn't get too crispy. So we did that, I wanna say about an hour in. We had to cover it because it was already getting very brown, and I needed my husband to help with that because that thing was heavy. He also ran to the thrift store and found some other glass goblets for me, which I was so excited about. So they don't all match, but they are perfect. And he got them for 75 cents each. So I'm just washing those up and cleaning them to add to my tablescape. Another thing that I'm doing is preparing my sweet potato casserole. I just cheated and grabbed some canned sweet potatoes or yams. That'll save you a lot of time having to peel and boil them. But I'm sprinkling over a brown sugar and flour, gluten-free flour mixture so the gluten-free folks can eat this. This is the most delicious sweet potato casserole, and you can prepare it all ahead of time. You just sprinkle the brown sugar and flour on top, you dot it with butter, and then you also add heavy cream as well. I'll do that a little bit later on when I'm ready to stick it in the oven, but this is something that you can get all ready to go ahead of time. You can see I already have my green beans and my corn warming up in the crock pots, so I don't have to worry about those either. And at this time, I'm going to clip all of the flowers and add these to my tablescape. So I'm just going to put little bits into these small glasses with water on each table, and I'm also going to cut some and put it around the centerpiece, which is just a pumpkin from my porch and some little small white pumpkins and then a butternut squash. So I just kind of gathered things I already had around my house, and I really think that it all came together so beautifully. You can see how cute the place cards turned out, and I just really love the way the goblets look. Everything is just really coming together so beautifully, more beautiful than I thought it would. So I'm very pleased with the way the table's looking. All right, guys, so once the turkey was finished cooking, always try to make it so that your turkey is finished sooner than when your guests will come over. You can see here that I just have some butter and gluten-free flour. I've made a roux in my Instant Pot, and then I am just pouring the turkey drippings into the butter and flour mixture, and I'm going to bring this to a boil, and then I'll add some chicken stock to make for a delicious gravy. You can just add salt and pepper to taste, and oh my goodness, you guys, this gravy turned out so amazing. I wish you all could taste it. It was absolutely delicious. I'm also going to get started on my stuffing because that needs to go in the oven. So I have my bags of cut celery and onion that I prepared 2 days ago. I'm just dumping those in the pot with butter, getting those nice and translucent. Then I'll add broth to the pot, bring that to a boil, and then I'll add my breadcrumbs. And I have to do this twice, so I'm doing a gluten-free version and a regular version, and then I'll get both of those in the oven. And you can see here that my husband is graciously helping me with that as well. I also have the sweet potatoes in the oven. I don't know if you caught that. Towards the end here, I don't know that I grabbed everything, that I caught everything on camera. All right, guys, we are nearing the end here. You can see so many items have been crossed off my list. It's kept me organized. Mostly everything is done. We're just waiting on things in the oven. My husband is now taking the potatoes that we've been boiling, and he's just gonna drain them and mash them while we wait for everyone to arrive. The gravy's all done and delicious. You can see how beautiful all the pies look here. I have them all stacked up near the KitchenAid mixer so that I can make some homemade whipped cream when we're ready to have pie. At this time, I am putting the rolls in the baskets. It's about 20 minutes until everyone arrives. So I'm just gonna fill the baskets up with the bread, and that'll look really beautiful for when my guests arrive. I'm also lighting my candles, which will just be absolutely beautiful and really make my mom feel special when she comes over. I know she's gonna love this table so much, and she did. I can say that now. She just thought it was so beautiful, and I think it's so special that we can celebrate a day of Thanksgiving on my mom's birthday. So after the sweet potato casserole has cooked for about 35 minutes, you can then add the marshmallows. I'm only putting pecans on 1/2 because my son can't have nuts, and he loves the sweet potato casserole. I love the crunch of the pecans, so I am saving those for just one side, and then I'll put that back in the oven for 15 minutes. You can see how beautiful the turkey is, and let me tell you, you need to invest in an electric knife for carving the turkey. My husband used one this year, and it was a lifesaver. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me. The whole meal came together so beautifully, and it was so fun taking you guys along. Everything turned out so delicious, and I hope that this video maybe helped you. I hope that my whole process encourages you and shows you that it really can be done, and it doesn't have to be stressful or overwhelming as long as you spread it out and get started early and have all of your recipes organized. It really is fun. It's a lot of fun to prepare. So you can see my family here just enjoying this delicious meal. My mom was just thrilled with it, which made me so happy. And it was so much fun taking you guys along. Thanks for watching, guys. Goodbye.